The Lakers beat the Mavericks 107-99.
Locked on Lakers.
And
Locked on
the
Lakers.
Lakers right now, they're playing high-level basketball. I had a couple takeaways from this game. I mean, number
I
one,
saw that Riv. He put up video. The Lakers are dangerous. I'm like,
Lakers are dangerous with Luka Doncic's revenge game, absolutely. And Luka's
What was it,
playmaking
19? It was a
was
triple-double,
fantastic.
right? It was
Yeah,
triple-double.
triple-double, 15 rebounds, 12
What was
assists.
the efficiency?
Wasn't great.
He had a bad
Wasn't
shooting
great.
night.
first quarter, he was hot.
To be fair, he was getting doubled almost every single time he was touching the ball. That being said, still wasn't a great
I mean,
efficient.
even though he
First
had
time
a,
he ever got doubled.
No, but it was like every time.
he's had a
Sounds like Luka for sure.
Yeah, he's always been doubled like that, but he had an A+ game all around still. I thought he played defense in the second half.
Bro, stop,
there were
bro. I
some
make a joke.
mishaps, but he finished with 3 steals.
Who's he guarding?
Finished with 2 blocks. I
was
mean,
guarding
he was just
Kyrie
playing
and
help
He was
Outside
side.
of the
guarding
fourth.
a lot, and
Kyrie was getting past
honestly,
him a couple times, for sure.
hey, but we
But I'm not
talk
gonna-
about the
it's
bad
Kyrie.
moments.
I'm not gonna
I
lie.
watched some good moments too.
Yeah, when Max Christie's ass
Getting a
ran
little
right into
active
him.
hands. Yeah, facts though.
I mean, I think right now what we're seeing from him is just how much he opens the floor up for everybody on the team. His playmaking he opens up the floor so much that LeBron is getting the most open shots that he's ever gotten, and I respect Dwayne Wade, Anthony Davis, and everybody that LeBron has ever played with, but Luka Doncic is the best offensive player that LeBron has ever played with ever,
Yeah.
and it makes the game so much easier for him. Luka's playmaking was on full display. I also think LeBron James, he clearly showed that he could still take over games at 40, and it comes pretty easy to him. And I feel like what's even more impressive about him is that he's been playing defense at a high level for a while now,
all
for
NBA
almost this
defender.
entire month. And also, he has taken a back seat not only to Luka, but he's taken a back seat to Austin Reeves, and he's playing more off the ball. There are still spurts when they're not on the court and he has to take over, and he does dominate and he does what he has to do, but he's taken a back seat to let Luka and Austin Reeves, specifically Austin Reeves, shine and be the best version of himself. And overall, the Lakers team defense is full of activity. Rui is always athletic. That it's always been about the details with him, and he's hustling at a high level. And then DFS, his energy rotating to shooters that are open. This is not the same type of defensive energy that they got when they had the initial roster early in the season with D'Lo and Anthony Davis. It's just a different level of activity. And I think the Lakers, we know they're going to be a great offensive team, but that defense and playing on the string in that way is leading to them having a great defense for 15 games now. But for the Mavericks, can't overlook the Mavericks either. If they're healthy, this is a
different
amazing team.
Yeah.
It's a different game for
Anthony
sure.
Davis, Daniel Gafford, Derek Lively, Caleb Martin, they all did not play in this game. And this was a
Close game down the
8-point
stretch.
victory.
Yeah. I mean, this is a tie game. Like a few minutes left in the fourth.
It was, and Kyrie Irving had a spectacular game, but nobody else on offense outside of Klay Thompson gave him help. Everybody else, they were missing
Somebody
their
had a
shots.
donut.
Yeah.
What did PJ? how did
PJ Washington had
get a
0
donut?
points.
Goodness.
And Najee Marshall was 1 for 5 from 3, but you give and take certain things. So the Mavericks, I think they have the type of team that can compete at a high level. They just need to be healthy. But I think my biggest takeaway is I think JJ Redick has been arguably one of the best coaches in the league this year. I think Kenny
Love
Atkinson
it.
deserves flowers. Mark Daigneault is always up there. Taylor Jenkins with the new system that he's implemented in Memphis. But JJ Redick, he's brought actual game plans and schemes to the Lakers in a way that they didn't have last year, and both on offense and on defense. And I read a report that when Luka first got to LA, JJ Redick had a conversation with him about asking him if he will allow him to coach him hard. And I feel like you see that with Rui, because Rui last year as a defender versus this year as a defender has been night and day. And I feel like JJ has been hard on all these players, and he's bringing out the best out of everybody.
Question. So, because me and John had this conversation, and he was like, he felt like JJ Redick should have been like top 4 in coaching the year, and I was like, I disagree. I don't think he's top 5.
You still believe that?
Yeah, because I named, and I was gonna say I named some guys. Like, does he have a better case?
It's Kenny.
Kenny, Mark, Ime, Jenkins, JB Bickerstaff,
JB to me might be number 1 right now.
Joe Mazzulla.
Disagree.
Like, does he have an argument over just coach of the year? Coach of the year is a lot different than just being a better coach, because you got to establish, scheming up and playoffs and all that stuff. Just coach of the year, case for coach of the year.
If you take what all of them have done at face value, I think JB Bickerstaff's job might be the most impressive. I think Kenny Atkinson is in the top 3. I think Ime is in the top 3. But if you're asking me who's the best coach out of all of them, I don't think JB is a better coach than JJ Redick.
I don't know, because, coming into the year, didn't we have the Lakers as like a top 4 or
The
5
thing
teams.
is, I didn't understand the hate for JB Bickerstaff in Cleveland, to be honest with you.
Offensively, he's not the best.
I don't disagree there, but at the same time, his players failed him too by not staying on the court, and that's pretty it's a strong statement to say, but it's true. They were unhealthy. That's not overly his fault. The fact that he went to, I understand it's a give and take, but
Ty Jerome was on the roster last year.
fair enough. He has taken a huge leap. Evan Mobley offensively has taken a huge leap, but you're getting the healthy version of Garland this year, and that's been a huge difference too.
I think a coach could be good in different situations. Like I remember Mike D'Antoni coming from the Suns, the 7 seconds or less offense. He was coach of the year. He coached the Lakers. They weren't good.
Nope.
He then coached the he went to another team after that. He
before
coached
or
for
after
the
the
Knicks.
Knicks? Yeah, I
he
was
coached for
gonna
the Knicks.
say.
It wasn't that good, And then it wasn't until he went to the Rockets to where he found his footing again. So I think certain coaches just thrive in different environments. But after JB Bickerstaff was fired, a report came out from the Athletic, and they
Players
had
did not
some
like
sources in there. The players what he was preaching, his philosophy just didn't resonate with that team. I think with a younger team like Detroit, I think it resonates much better with them because they have not seen any success at all.
Yeah, I think what's been most impressive is the way LeBron has taken over some of these fourth quarters, right? Like LeBron going into last night had 11 points entering the fourth. He had 16 points in the fourth quarter, 7 for 9. So he's been playing off ball more, like you mentioned. Like he's let Luka, the famous quote, "Don't fit in, fit out." Like we'll work around you. He's done that to Luka. We've seen Austin Reeves have a career year, and that's been in part to LeBron playing off ball more. But also when it comes down to it, when it's fourth quarter, he's like, all right, I could take over. And over these last 10 games, basically all season, he's been the best player on the Lakers. He's been so impressive. And it's LeBron, right? What's there really to say about him? But just the energy he's played with, the defense, as you guys have mentioned. This is a guy that I think I mentioned before, that Miami game embarrassed y'all, right? Got blown the fuck out. And since then, it felt like a switch got turned, right? You had the number 1 defense in basketball for like a month stretch. You got Luka Doncic, and you see everyone really buying in defensively, even more than they were beforehand, because you have this young superstar who you feel like now you have a now and a future on this team with Luka on the roster. The Lakers still got to prove it more to me. 7-2 since the Luka trade. Shout out to them. They've been playing really good basketball.
that
Mavericks
Jazz and
win,
Hornets game, that seems like a long time ago.
What do
does.
they have to prove to you?
the defense really have to prove it to me, because the Nuggets game, I'll give it to, right? Like the Nuggets game, that was as good of a scheme as you could put up against Jokic, right? I mentioned it on the live we had a couple days ago, or over the weekend, that was the most frazzled I'd ever seen Jokic in a regular season or postseason game. So I got to give credit to JJ Redick. But last night's game, we saw some of the lineups out there, bro. Like, they got one player who could really create a shot in Kyrie Irving. So, like, I'm not looking at last games to be like, holy shit, this Lakers defense can actually really be good. I think they have pieces for sure. Like, Rui's played better defensively. Off ball, I still kind of worry about him. We know Vando can be a good defender.
Legend.
Yeah, Tim's tomorrow.
Can I ask you a
be a good
question,
game.
though, as an example as what our defense can be? That Knicks game without AD, first game without
Luka
him.
didn't play. I think he's talking about just with
But that's
Luka.
my entire point,
Luka's
though.
not a negative on defense.
Sometimes he can be.
He could be more than often, he'll be a negative.
So far in a
the
Laker
playoffs?
uniform,
He's passable.
Sometimes he can be.
Joel, in a Laker
he's been
uniform, we
kind.
haven't seen Luka be the best version
He's on and off.
on defense.
He's passable. That's what he is right
He
now.
has. He's been
The
passable
games they
because
lost, he
we've
wasn't
won.
passable.
I agree with that.
He wasn't passable.
But
Against the Nuggets and last
no,
night.
he said the
No, I
games
said
they
the
lost.
games they lost, he wasn't.
But
That's
they
what I'm
only
saying.
lost 2, and it was teams that we thought that we'd walk in and beat.
That's what I'm saying. I'm giving you the on and off.
I would also argue, yesterday, we came in with the belief we were going to go and smack them. We were going to go in and play against the Mavericks, and we were going to easily handle
was
them.
a nasty game.
We took them lightly, and they ended up playing some solid basketball. Took us down to the wire, but at the very end, we were able to comfortably win. And I said it after we watched the game. I said, the score does not indicate how good of a game this was for Dallas. This was a really solid performance by Dallas, and I think PJ was terrible offensively in due part because of the energy he had to expend on the defensive side.
he
I thought he
rebounded
played
well.
an excellent defensive game. But when I look at this Lakers defense, Dels, I get it. Luka Doncic has been a poor defender.
It's not just Luka, by
But
the way. Like, I
that's
shit on
why-
Luka, but it's like, you have like one real big. You normally have a big rotation.
But that's what's so impressive against the
Okay.
Nuggets.
Reeves was getting beat a lot last night.
Here's the thing.
But it's Kyrie. And we spoke
Nah,
about
he got
that.
beat by other dudes. Max Christie
Here-
beat him
here's
a
the
few
thing.
times.
Not really. Like, Max really only thrived shooting the basketball
I feel
yesterday.
like when you watch a game, there's always moments, isolated moments where you look at something and you think it's just bad, right? And you say, okay, that's bad. They didn't look good. They didn't do this. But, lineup data exists because sometimes the eye test doesn't fully match what the stats and the overall result was.
Lineup
of what
data
happened.
also includes 4 of the guys.
But what other great defender in the Lakers lineup can mask defensive deficiencies overall?
Not great, but
What
they're
other?
collectively
Well,
bought in.
Dorian has been really great defensively. Vanderbilt,
But there's
can
not
do
like
that
an
too.
anchor, right? There's not like an anchor.
You can argue when
overall.
he's on the court, it's Vanderbilt.
Because a lot of the Lakers' defensive philosophy right now is just communicate and rotate into the
Switch,
right
yeah,
spot.
for real.
So yeah, even if you get blown by, there's a rotation and then you just pick somebody else up. In 309 possessions with Luka Doncic on the court for the Lakers, they're a plus 14.3 point differential, 118.8 offensive rating, 81st percentile, 104.5 defensive rating. That's a 97th percentile. So when Luka has been in the lineup on the court, they have had a 97th percentile defensive rating.
How many good offense did they play?
That's the issue, Joel.
Like,
We've
I
I
played.
think that's like Denver
Yes,
and
But
like,
overall, you just told me that overall, he was very bad.
No, I didn't.
Against. Well, you said he was very bad defensively
See,
against.
he's been up and down.
Yeah, but
He's been
I'm
up and
still
down.
explaining myself. You said overall he was very bad defensively against the Jazz and against the Hornets.
Yeah,
Against those bad teams.
I didn't think he was good in those
Yeah,
games.
I didn't think he was a bad defender against the Nuggets or the Mavericks, but these numbers show that overall, when you take the totality of all those games, this is the result.
Against the Mavericks, I didn't think he was great.
He was
I think he
passable.
had moments.
He was passable.
He had moments.
But that stat is essentially them dominating Denver defensively, them having a good performance against Dallas's offense, and then 2 bad losses.
Well,
it
and
takes
one,
everything
and
overall.
one
The
game
sample
without
is
him,
big
we
enough.
did beat Portland without him pretty comfortably.
So are
It's
you-
just
No,
Luka.
I know, I'm
Also,
just saying.
listen, we saw the Mavericks last year have one of the best offenses and or best defenses in basketball. But when it comes down to playoffs and comes down to the fourth quarter, we know who people are going to go after.
Luka was good defensively in the first 3 rounds of the playoffs. He just wasn't good in the finals.
First 3?
I don't know.
Good?
Yes.
Yeah,
Against
he had
Minnesota, he
moments.
was good. Against OKC, he was good.
Clippers, I don't think he was good.
Against the Clippers, that was
Passable.
He
I'll
was
give you
he was the
passable.
one that was the one that he struggled the most with for sure.
I give you passable.
But in that series, there was a lot of questionable schemes. I mean, there was a I forgot what game it was exactly, but there was a game where they were just letting James Harden blow by them straight to the basket.
Sounds like Boston.
Yeah, but that was when PJ Washington was even the primary defender there. They were that was just their scheme of just funneling offense players into the basket, into the rim protectors.
Listen, good is subjective.
But even with that, like, what I'm saying is are you holding more weight over the bad teams over the good teams?
No, what I'm saying is it's inconsistent, which it has been. I'm saying, I said that as a defender, Luka's up and down. He went as far as saying he's bad. I'm more in the middle. Like, okay, you have a moment where in the Denver game, he's super locked in. You have the Dallas game where he's up and down, and then you have the 2 games where he's not locked in. You can see it visibly, and what happens? The Lakers lose. So there's moments where you're going to see some collapses. There's moments where you're going to see some triumphant moments. What we cannot do is sit up here and lie and call him good. I don't think
I don't think Joel's done that.
What
He
does
just
it-
said passable.
He said good first, then said
Well,
passable.
also let me tell you, if you think he's just a passable defender,
he's all right
he's just an all right
sometimes.
defender. What matters more, him being individually all right or the team overall being elite defensively, even when he's on the court?
But
if
are they
he's not-
actually going to be elite defensively?
All right, Joel, and this
seems
is.
like a
Can I go
long
back
shot.
to what I'm
It
saying?
seems like a long
I
I want to
shot.
go back to what I was saying. Let's look at the entire month of February with and without Anthony Davis, where we've played amazing high-level defense against good comp.
You've had
see how
some
many
good
teams you
comp. You've
played
had
this
some
We
bad
played
comp.
against you guys. We
Yes.
played against the Knicks. We've played against. Off the top of my noggin.
So
I
to
don't know.
your point,
It's a lot of bad
to your
play
point,
teams you
the
played, too.
Lakers
I like-
have played well defensively, right?
Yes.
And
Knicks, Clippers.
okay, and
Thank you. The Clippers are not great
a
offense.
good
what
offense.
I'm adding to that point
Indiana, though.
is even with your question marks about Luka defensively, he clearly is not hindering how good the Lakers have been playing on both ends or on defense. With him, they've been elite defensively on the court.
Correct.
Sure. Like I'm not. I'm just not buying much
I'm
stock
looking at
into it.
solo games. That's what I want to
I'm just not buying much stock into. If you think they're going to be a 97th percentile defense with Luka on the court for the whole season, you think they should win the finals. If you think they can be that elite, because
He's played like
I think
6
we
bad
all know
offenses
they're not
so
going to be
far.
that good defensively.
No, and I think that where we really showed that we can play high-level defense and lock in defensively was that game versus the Knicks. And people are going to try and minimize that because the Knicks have been pretenders against really great teams. But that's in the Garden. That's without Anthony Davis. And that was one of the best games we've seen LeBron James play this season overall, both offense and defense. I think that our defense is really good. I think that we have a great system going on right now. And shout out to you, Joel, for acknowledging Rui Hachimura and what he's been able to do on the defensive side. But it's been the four-headed monster. Let me pay respects to my GOAT, LeBron James. But it's really been LeBron, it's been Rui, it's been Vando, and it's been DFS. And DFS, who really didn't have that great of a game yesterday, still had moments on the defensive side where you make up for those deficiencies. I look at LeBron James, and I say, and I've said this for a long time, really since 2023. When we saw it with D'Angelo Russell, with Anthony Davis, with Austin Reeves, that those people needed the ball in their hands to be successful, mostly D'Angelo Russell and Austin Reeves, LeBron can play off ball. We've known that.
He's became such a great shooter.
The fact that now it takes Luka Doncic coming onto the court and now, LeBron James can play off ball. No, this is something that he's been working on and understands that if he wants to grow and gracefully age in this league, he needs to learn to play off ball. He's been forming that three-point shot to be as efficient as it's been. He knows when it's time to cut. He's still smarter than 99% of the league. So that whole notion that LeBron, now with Luka, now we can see that he plays off ball. No, you just haven't been paying attention. And now that we have personnel, real strong personnel, he can thrive off of that.
I'm just pushing back on the idea that inserting Luka into a lineup makes you a bad defense.
Well,
that's
no,
what
that's
I'm
not
pushing
true.
because
last year they were a great defense.
Last year on the court, the Mavericks in the playoffs had a 110.1 defensive rating. When he was off the court, they had a 118.9 defensive rating, 24th percentile. So they were worse when he wasn't out there on the floor, both on offense and on defense last year in the playoffs. And they went from a 74th percentile defense last year in the playoffs to a 20th percentile defense when he wasn't on the court.
Yeah,
So
I've been saying, like, the Mavs defense last year was elite. That was a big reason why the second half of the season they made their push and they were winning all these games. Luka was great, obviously, but the defense as a whole was phenomenal. But we also saw, like in the finals, when it came down to it, okay, let's attack Luka and see what happens.
What defense is going to make Boston look human? That's another question. Like, what defense would Boston would have faced where you would have said, wow, they're playing great defense on Boston?
Well, I mean, that's what Boston does. They're going to attack mismatches. They're going to attack your weakest defender.
Because I think looking at Luka and just saying he's a poor defender because he couldn't handle Boston offensively.
Well, he's had more moments than just Boston.
Again, if we look at like
the one that gets highlighted the most is Boston.
Yeah,
the one that only people talk, even though he still averaged the most points in that series, all people talk about is Luka Doncic's defense, and I'll be the one to tell you I was talking about it too.
It was bad.
Yeah, there's just like I'm looking at. There's just not many lineups with a ton of possessions. Like
for the Lakers, you're saying, correct?
Yeah, the most lineup like Luka, Reeves, Rui, LeBron, Hayes. They have the most possessions.
We're riding off the high of Denver. That's really where all Laker believers and
in
fans.
In totality, I see the number. It's 309 possessions, 104 point percent. But like individually breaking down lineups, 89 possession. The next best lineup: Luka, Reeves, Finney Smith, Hachimura, LeBron James. They're allowing 107.4 points per possession.
I mean,
it's not 55.
gonna. That's not gonna maintain. To your point, but like I think the offense.
Alex Lynn lineup sucks.
No, he's not playing the rest of the season. I'm guaranteeing it. He doesn't play another minute.
The offense should be top 3 with Luka on the court, and as long as the defense is top 10, I think they're fine. They don't got to be number 1. They don't got to be number 4.
We've been 1. That's why. And I'm with Joel. Do I think we're the best defense in the league? No, I don't think
Listen, if you're a top 10 defense, you'll prove me wrong.
Because if we're a top 10 defense
and
we're arguably the best offense in the game, all right, now we're legitimately having a conversation.
I'll say this. In those two lineups with Luka, Reeves, Hachimura, LeBron James, and Hayes, and then Luka, Reeves, Dorian Finney-Smith, Hachimura, LeBron James, both those are the highest, the ones with 50 more possessions. In those lineups, teams are shooting from the corner 23% and then 11%. So they're not hitting corner threes at that rate, which I'm not going to go into.
Opposing teams, you're saying?
Yeah, opposing teams.
We closed out.
So they're not hitting. They're not hitting open corners.
There was a possession where he closed out. It was a fantastic job. No, you're right. I mean, I'm just pushing back against the notion that I think Luka makes you a bad defense. I think as long as he can be a part of a great team defense.
Yeah, we saw last year. I said he's individually a bad defender, but he could be part of a good defense.
I also would like to say the defensive rating dropping off. There's also that part of my brain that thinks, we have to win the Luka list minutes, the opposing team. Like Jokic. When Jokic is off the court, hey, we have to make the most of this, and we really have to dominate and get back into these games, which it wouldn't surprise me if opposing teams do that, and they go and they're putting their best offense forward.
But when you have LeBron and Reeves, you could take Luka off and still feel great.
No, see, but that's the thing and the beauty with the Lakers offense right now. It's the fact that we can stagger these lineups where it's I'm not going to say it's rare that you see LeBron and Luka on the court at the same time. Obviously, that's not true, but they'll go an extended period of time where the two are not on the court together to give them the breather so that come end of the game, they're both fully fresh. And I'd be damned if I forget about Austin Reeves, who has been one of the best players this month. He's been so excellent on the ball. He knows how to. Well, the defense still, it's a work in progress. You're going up against Kyrie Irving. He has been so dominant on offense for a third option.
He's been elite.
He's been so fucking dominant.
He's been elite.
It's been incredible to watch. So when you see what this offense can do, I'm not even using yesterday as a precursor because, again, I give a lot more credit to the Mavericks in that game than I do my Lakers yesterday. But it was a gritty win. And it's one that you went in and you thought this would be food and this is a walk in the park. And you had to realize throughout the course of the game, no, we really have to work for this one. We really have to come out and fix it. And LeBron James is truly just one of one. And I thank God every day that he plays basketball.
To talk about the Mavericks a little bit, I don't know why there's this notion that like Anthony Davis doesn't overwhelmingly help their offense. Because Anthony Davis with the Lakers this year, when he was on the court and LeBron off it, they had a top 10 offensive rating. Like Anthony Davis, people often talk about the defensive prowess that the Mavericks are going to have when they're healthy. But this could also be a great offense and pose a lot of mismatch problems for a lot of the teams that they run into the West.
Yeah, no, Anthony Davis can be a huge help. He would have been a huge help in that game. I do think if they get everyone healthy, which is a big if, right? Because Lively is going to be like right up on the edge in terms of being ready for the playoffs. AD should have, maybe a month or so to be able to ramp up. But with all those guys healthy, just how big they can be, how defensively, how great they can be, it will help their offense. I do think the offense at times is going to get a little clunky since you really just have Kyrie as like the primary shot creator or like not even primary, but like kind of only like AD could get his own, but we know what I mean, like Kyrie perimeter wise getting downhill. So that's my only worry. It's just like fourth quarter, you got to get a bucket. Is Kyrie going to be able to, have 2 or 3 possessions in a row where either he's creating for himself or finding open shots for others, or is AD going to be able to bang down low in the post, hit a midi, or spin to the basket and get shots consistently? So defensively, I mean, AD is going to change the world. We know how great that AD is. Offensively, I still have my questions about them, but they're a dark horse for a reason.